All right, let's get this thing started today. So first of all, I am drinking Monster. You guys know that I'm a huge Rockstar fan, so do not tell Cheshire. I'll never live this down. But they didn't have the Ultra that I usually drink Rockstar, so I got this instead. It is sugar-free and it is no calories. But yeah, sorry, I do want a Rockstar sponsor one of these days, but this is Monster. So if you see me drinking it, don't make a big deal of it. It is what it is. But anyways, this is going to be kind of an odd stream, to say the least. I don't really know that much what's going on. Usually when I do these types of streams and I do reviews and things of that nature, I try to at least get some semblance of research. And what I mean by that is I at least know what the hell is going on. I at least try to watch some videos, kind of think to my head how I want to go about it. This one I really have no idea what the hell I'm going to do. So it's kind of a change of pace for me. I guess there's been a lot of stuff going on with the ACA and Matt Dillahunty lately, shows that are related to that and non-related to that. I guess like The Line, which I don't know if that's an ACA show or not. I thought it was something that him and Jimmy Snow were doing, but I really don't know the nuances of how they interact with all these different types of atheist shows. But there seems to be a lot of people messaging me stuff, telling me things, and I'm getting bits and pieces, but I'm really not getting the big picture. So I wanted to kind of set up the stream where you guys can call in, you guys can join the hangout or whatever, and kind of fill me in what the hell you think is going on, because I have noticed some things, right? I have noticed that there's not a lot of content coming out on the ACA right now as far as like the Atheist Experience. Seems to be a lot of recycled stuff, clips and things of that nature. I don't know if that's anything to do with anything, but I don't watch the ACA. I am subscribed to them, but I only really kind of go and look when somebody says, hey, look at this timestamp kind of thing. And people have been sending me these things, and I'm looking at these timestamps, and I'm still don't know what the hell's I'm looking at. So I guess there has been some things going on with Matt Dillahunty not being happy with the ACA. I don't know if he's leaving the ACA or they don't want him to, or he's blocking people left and right, which, that's kind of par for the course with him. There's, I guess, a situation with somebody named Autumn from Twitter that I don't know very well. They, for some reason, have talked to somebody before. They said, don't ever talk to Steve. He's a bad, bad man. Okay, fine. I don't know the reasoning for that. I've talked to her on Twitter before. I've never had a problem with her, but whatever. But I guess she, for some reason, had some kerfluffle with Matt Dillahunty, and they removed the videos that she was on. I guess she was on. Was she on The Line? I think. But it's something to be said about the whole atheist community on that side of the fence. Now, again, people out there saying there's no atheist community. Yes, there's an atheist community. I mean, the word community just means a bunch of people that have something in common, right? And there's different strengths of the community. There's some communities that are very tight-knit. There's a very loose type of community, but I mean, all the people that have a very similar mindset, belief, positions, whatever. I mean, there's nothing wrong. Yeah, Notes Modem is their name. There's a community to be had there, right? And of course, there's the Atheist Community of Austin. That's a community. That's the name, Atheist Community of Austin. So if anybody says there's no such thing as an atheist community, you might want to let the ACA know that, right? I mean, if they're unaware of this, then they might want to change their name. So there is, atheist community. Now, again, there's an overarching atheist community. People just get involved in atheism in some capacity. And that's fine. I think that perfect plan. Just like the Christian community, they're like people that believe Christ is the Son of God, or you need to believe for your sins. That's a community of sorts. So I think it's a really bad argument to say there's no atheist community. Matter of fact, one of the things we're going to be talking here in a few, I'm going to give the link out, and I'm going to have a phone call to call in. I know DallasWade is going to be joining us here in a few. I watched his video, and he brought up some of these same points that I have long since pointed out. Things with atheist bad behavior, things like atheist bad arguments, and he brought up things like bigotry and other things. I haven't seen a lot of that, but I have seen a lot of hypocrisy in the atheist community. They say one thing but do another, and they will absolutely protect their own because it's all about image and ego. Matter of fact, most people remember the kerfuffle I've had with the atheist community for 5 years now, because I dare speak out against them. That I dare say that Matt Dillahunty didn't know what the hell he was talking about in certain things, and he got multiple things wrong. And that Aaron Ra, who I really do like, got a lot of things wrong. And I was excised from that community. I was cut out. I was deemed a heretic, even though nobody has shown that I was wrong on anything on that, which was kind of weird, right? I mean, if you have a group of people that say, "Hey, call in our show, give us an argument," and then I've never called in their shows, but I have arguments. But they've never addressed them. which I find to be odd. I mean, Matt Dillahunty has always said, look, if you give me a valid and sound argument, and of course he's talking about the existence of God, and I'll give him that. I don't have a valid and sound argument for the existence of God because, well, I don't believe in God. But I mean, could one exist? Well, yeah, theoretically, if God exists, there could be a valid and sound argument for God if God exists, but it's contingent upon that, which obviously is an unknown. Now, there are, of course, valid arguments for God existing, but that's nothing, no big deal. Anybody can make a valid argument. That just means the format's correct, right? You can make a valid argument for anything. Doesn't mean it's sound. So, I was basically vilified by the atheist communities. And I see the same patterns over and over again. Matt Dillahunty was one of the ones that supported Kyle Curtis, obviously. Now, he even said one time, congratulations, Kyle, on your win, because it was based upon the word of a drunk, meaning Ben Potts, his ex-boyfriend, which I thought was a very deplorable thing to say because he doesn't know Ben. Ben's a great guy. I really would like to meet him one day. And to call him a drunk based upon what? I find that to be very egregious behavior, especially because he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. I mean, to the point of being scary how nice that guy really is. But I mean, he was covering for Kyle. Kyle was on Faithless Forum. Kyle was in their studio. I think Kyle had basically been on their show. I don't know. But I mean, he did not recognize the facts. He didn't care about the facts. He didn't want to know the facts. He's never looked into the lawsuit. He has no idea what the hell's going on with the non sequitur case. He probably even know or care that Kyle has an arrest warrant out, So, I mean, it's not just Matt. I mean, it seems like a lot of people associated with anything to do with Matt in the line are just terrible people. I mean, Jimmy Snow, he helped, obviously, I think, cover up, and this is my opinion, but I think indirectly he helped cover up Kyle's crimes because he fought for him, he streamed to my channel, he violated a cease and desist, which was really more of a demand letter, but whatever. It was still don't stream to my channel by the court, or my lawyer, technically. It wasn't by the court, it was my lawyer, but he just didn't care. He didn't ask the questions. These are skeptics, right? These are skeptics that say, hey, look, show me the facts. And then when you show them the facts, they ignore them. They completely ignore them. Or worse, they twist them to their advantage. They're manipulative. Jimmy Snow is manipulative. I've seen it firsthand. If you don't believe me, go read the blog that I wrote, 2 years ago on him, and nothing had changed. It's the exact same problematic behavior he's doing now. Now, there's more that has come out on that. Stuff that I wasn't even aware of, about how he, kind of, I think the word would be, is predatory behavior they were using. And again, these are all projections people have done to me. But they're the ones that have done these things. They have literally done exactly what they've accused other people of doing, which is projection of its finest. And so I knew that Jimmy Snow was not an honest agent. I know that Matt Dillahunty is not an honest agent. Nate the lawyer has been on the line. He's not an honest agent. As a matter of fact, a lot of this started 5 years ago when he kept saying I was wrong about what I was stating about atheism and how it is viewed in philosophy and my arguments. And he knew he was trolling on it. He knew he was wrong. He didn't care. He trolls to this day. He's a troll. Okay. But you know what? They all support each other. And so I think that goes into what we're going to be talking about here in a few. That when Wade comes on here, DallasWade, because his video is not very long. It's in the video description. I highly recommend go watch it because he points out some critical things about bad behavior and bad arguments. Because if you're going to have a community where you're talking about a particular topic, one, I would think you should learn about that topic. I don't see a lot of good atheist arguments out there being promulgated by these atheist channels. Again, I don't really watch them. Maybe it's my fault that I don't see them, but that's why I'm having you guys call in. Where the hell does Matt Dillahunty run any atheist arguments? When does he talk about Mackie or Oppie, or talk about how the appeal? Like, I love Oppie's. People don't. I love Oppie's argument of theoretical virtues, appealing to theoretical virtues. That, hey, look, why even posit a God? It doesn't seem parsimonious, which we understand things to be as far as natural law and science. And now that isn't scientism. I'm not trying to pull a scientism thing, but science has a very methodical way of looking at things. It has, an evidential approach. It has an empirical approach. It has a cohesion, a coherence. It has a consilience to all these different other branches of science, all together to say one thing, right? Matter of fact, look at the theory of evolution. The theory of evolution works well to describe biodiversification because it matches our observation with absolutely unrelated fields like dendrochronology or radioactive metric dating or the fossil record, phylogenetics, cladistics, protonomics. I mean, there's any field in science, it matches. right? There's no one field of science that says, oh, look, the Earth in this field of science says the Earth is 7,000 years old, but all the other ones it's 4.5 billion, right? Nothing happens like that. So I don't see a lot of that out there. Well, and somebody asked, what's your best atheist argument? Well, one of my favorites is the appeal to theoretical virtues. You know, when we're talking about theoretical virtues, that just basically means that a scientific theory, to be considered a really robust theory, it has certain properties to it. It's simplistic, and I don't mean it's like very simple to understand. It just means it's not overly complicated to where you have to add all this unnecessary ad hoc stuff to it, right? There's a nice simplicity to it. The mathematics works, right? And so, why even posit a God, right? Now, the theists can come in and say, look, you know, we understand that, but we think that God violates natural law, and we're going to assert that to be the case, because clearly if God exists, it's a violation of natural law. They can do that. There's different arguments to be had for that. But I don't see a lot of those argumentations taking place in the atheist community. So to me, they're more along the lines of, if anything, the atheist community of Gnosticism, I've said for the longest time, right? Because they don't seem to promote atheism. They seem to promote, hey, just don't believe. Right? But anyways, I'm going to put the link out here. I'm only going to right now allow Wade to come in. Actually, you know what? Wait, I'm going to send it to you directly if I can do that, because I just want you to come in right now. Then I'll have people call in, if that's cool. I saw you out there in a few minutes ago. So I'm going to get the link. I'm going to send it to you directly DM on Twitter, and then I'm going to take some of your questions while we're waiting on that. So, like I said, I really want to know what's kind of going on, because I see these patterns over and over and over again. I've spoken out against them, and I just don't know why people are just now seeing what I've seen all along. I don't understand. These are so egregious of behaviors that anybody that could ever at any time say they had skepticism, and I mean that in the more colloquial sense rather than the knowledge related sense, which is fine. None of them are skeptics. These are not skeptics. They do not look at evidence. How can you tell me that people like Matt Dillahunty, Nate Brody, Jimmy Snow, Godless Engineer, Caitlin Chloe, all those that were involved in the Non Sequitur show, got all the things wrong, ever cared about the evidence? They never did. Clearly, they never cared about the evidence. So they weren't skeptic. It was more of a just, we didn't care. It was ambivalence, if anything, and I think probably maliciousness as well. In certain cases, definitely maliciousness. So I don't think any of them actually qualify to me as people that say that they have skeptic, or who's that? Yeah, ProLib. You know, I'm going to do a show on ProLib on my Great Debate community. I had some technical problems. I don't know why. I'm going to try that again. But yeah, none of them care about the truth. I mean, let's be realistic here. If they did, then they would do so from an honest standpoint, and none of them have honestly addressed anything. They just do character assassination. If you go against them, they will character assassinate you. And a lot of them are scared, I think. And I don't mean to be hyperbolic on that. I don't mean to be like, oh, you know, Steve thinks people are scared of the ACA. No. But I have had people just recently, an unrelated thing, tell me, I had one person tell me that even if they change their mind on something, they won't do it publicly. They won't say that publicly they changed their mind. And this was unrelated, but I understood it. They were fearful of people attacking them, people going after them. People, you know, because I have people that literally, because they dislike me and the fact that they've just trolled me for 5 years, they will go after anybody that even associates with me. They will tell you that we will go after your channel. You know, we will make sure that you never have a guest on. They did this with Atheist Pastor. You know, they've done it to Robert Reed. They've done it to a bunch of people. So, yeah, ProLib's coming around again. You know, the guy that says he called the FBI and Medicaid or Medi-Cal, I don't remember which one he said, with no evidence. I mean, I literally got a chance to confront him and say, what was your evidence for this? He's like, well, I just believe Kyle. You believe Kyle what? What was the evidence Kyle showed you? Oh, well, his word. So you called an agency to report something based upon the word of a 2-time convicted felon that had been found liable for fraud in a North Carolina business court that now has an arrest warrant for civil and criminal contempt. That's your standard for skepticism, Ethan? Good job on that. I have given you the link to join. Dallas, you still out there? I'll give him a second to see. I don't think he's got that link yet. But, well, you know what? I'll just open up to anybody. You know, I have full control of this, and they're not going to be seen visually. So if a troll comes in, they're easily kicked out. But I'm going to pin the link there. Because, you know, it's so funny. Talk about projection, right? Here are the people that come over to my live chat to troll. Oh, and then the ones that say that we do that, right? Anyways, hey, welcome, Dallas.
Hey.
Nice to meet you, man.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can see you. They can't though. So you look fabulous, but nobody's gonna be able to really see. But I can see you if you want to gesticulate or have facial expressions of disdain and contempt. Right.
Okay. Yeah. Because I'm talking to Steve McRae.
Right. Yeah. Do you don't know what you've done? you might have destroyed yourself for the rest of your time on YouTube by doing this.
I think I've done that a couple times already.
Awesome. So let me make sure people can hear you, because like I said, I had a problem last time. I had Brandon, who's in here now too. I had him on the Great Debate Community stream. We were doing a kind of a show that I call the Cesspool. It didn't work. I don't know why. So make sure that you guys can hear Dallas right now.
Yeah, can you all hear me?
Give it a few seconds there to catch up. But like I said, I did watch your video.
Okay, cool.
Yep, you brought up the same points I've been bringing up, and I think we can just dive into it and start with some of them. One of them being that you had brought up bad attitude.
Yeah. That's very notable.
I haven't got confirmation that I can hear you, and this is disturbing to me. So,
but you can hear me, right?
Oh yeah, I can hear you just fine. Oh, okay, they can hear. Okay, say thank you. All right, so you had pointed out bad attitude, and I see this quite frequently in the atheist community. And yes, there is a community that these people are not wanting to have really honest dialogue. Matter of fact, just recently on Twitter, there was another atheist. I call it New Atheist TM, and what I mean, and that wasn't my thing. I didn't create that, but what that means is that there's a small group of atheists that I don't know if I can turn my camera here. No, it's not going to work. Basically, they're trolls. They're basically the same as Young Creationist Flat Earth. They're not interested in the topic. And he was putting out misinformation. A bunch of people corrected it, and he's like, "Oh, this is just a circle jerk." And it's like, no, it's not a circle jerk. It's you putting out misinformation. You have no evidence that is correct. Here's evidence that you're wrong. And it's just this bad attitude where they either block you or just vilify you or try to defame you. And I see this consistently in the atheist community. Is this something you've seen?
Oh yeah, for sure. I know I follow a lot of atheist pages on Facebook too, and several of the subreddits like r/atheism. I mean, it's toxic on every level, and on Twitter too. Twitter, as bad as it gets sometimes, though, it's still not the cesspool that Reddit and Facebook are. I think if anybody doubts that there's toxicity in the atheist community, they should branch outside of Twitter, because it's freaking everywhere.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. Matter of fact, the toxicity is getting worse. And I don't understand how it's getting worse when we saw a couple years ago the toxicity start. There was Atheism Plus. There was schism with the whole rationality rules things. And we saw the toxicity creep in. I don't know if you ever listened to some of these more toxic ones like Godless Cranium or Essence of Thought, but they're just beyond measure on that. But when you dare speak out against the ACA or say anything about Matt, every single time they have these people come over and will protect him at all costs and not talk about what you're saying he has said that is incorrect. I don't get it.
Yeah, I know, like back when like the rationality rules stuff, when that all went down, I was like really new to the whole atheist community and stuff, so I didn't get to experience all of that. Most of that's just vague memories for me now, but ACA is something I've always tried to stay away from. I've never been a fan of kind of their attitude on things.
Well, I mean, I think they started off okay. I mean, I early on they had some pretty good shows. I mean, people not big fans of Tracy Harris, but I thought occasionally she did some really good shows. But I noticed though they weren't interested in reason. They weren't interested in having dialogues about the topics. It was all about I just don't believe, rather than, hey, you know what, gods don't exist. Let me tell you why. Well, that's fine. They didn't have to, right? I mean, there's no obligation for that. But it became more, hey, look, let's talk about more of the philosophical aspects of atheism. Let's talk about the philosophy and the arguments. And people are like, atheism has nothing to do with philosophy. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Are you that much drank the ACA Kool-Aid where you're going to say that atheism isn't about philosophy? Of course it is. What the hell you think it is? Atheism isn't anything except the lack of belief. So, like... they swear by that. It's so odd. It's okay, well, if you want to go with that, here's the arguments as to why that's probably not a good way to go, and they just cannot go there. They refuse to address those arguments.
Yeah. They collectively are not a community, and they collectively do not have a culture. They just, it's a coincidence that they're just a collective group of people based around one idea.
Which is that they just lack a belief. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine a group of theists getting together and saying, hey, we're Christians, but we don't actually believe Christ existed. We just lack a belief that he didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. But so what else is going on with the atheists? I mean, maybe you could kind of fill us in, because I see weird things happening with Matt. I mean, he's with the line now. Again, he's gone with other dishonest creators like Jimmy Snow, and I think Nate Brody's been on there a few times. So what the hell? I mean, what the hell's going on in the schism there? Because there are people now recognizing that if you speak out against him on that line, or the hang up, that was one of the things he was doing too. He just blocks people and he's going off on weird rants on them and stuff.
I am in the dark with all the stuff going on with Matt right now, so I would also like to be filled in there.
Well, we got some. Well, let me ask Reverend. I got Reverend Ruin here. Are you familiar with what's going on with Matt? I mean, because I had people messaging me and I was looking into it, and I still don't know what the hell the deal is.
I've been cut out of that community mainly because of the reasons that you've even talked about. The fact that I don't toe the line. It's you end up being excommunicated, and it's getting very interesting. I remember back, Matt Dillahunty actually kind of liked me in the beginning before I started to embrace theists as friends. So, this is definitely a pattern of behavior that's been going on for quite a while. Matt, one thing that I do know about Dillahunty is that he's become his own cult of personality, and that when he gets challenged, he'll strike out. So, if ACA and him are having problems, they challenged him in some way. That would be my opinion on the matter.
Yeah, no, I think I've seen that firsthand. And by the way, I just put the link or the video that you have, Dallas, on the screen. Okay, there we go. I just had I had a major crash. I don't know what the hell is going on. I had to reset Chrome, so I should be back. Yeah. So that was weird. So if you guys are out there still, come back in the hangout there. I'm going to join it right now because my entire thing just crashed. I don't know why. I'm rejoining again. 1 second. Oh, you know what? It won't let me join there. Let me try this again. My other account. They're probably just sitting there going, "Where's Steve? What happened?" Wow, they should be probably listening to the outside by now. So There we go. All right, I'm back in the call.
Okay.
All right, I'm back in the call.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm back. Let me just
Nope.
get Dallas back in here.
Nothing.
Can you hear me?
We're still having my problems, dude.
Can't. You can't. They can't hear me. Can you hear me?
Nope.
You can't hear me. All right. How about now? Now
Can't
can you hear me?
You either. I can't. Okay, now I can't hear anything.
You can't hear me?
Oh, I can hear
I
you.
can hear
guys.
you.
Okay, so it's on
Yeah,
Brandon's
I
end.
can hear you, Steve.
Okay, so it's on Brandon's end. All right. All right, Reverend, you can hear me? We all good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome, sweet. All right, sorry about that. Like I said, weird thing.
Mhm.
So we'll get Dallas back in here. But while we're waiting for that, let's kind of continue where we left off. Because
Not me now.
yeah,
Probably.
Brandon, it's you.
I'll come out and come back in.
All right. Where we were? Oh yeah, about the excommunication, right? If you dare speak out against them, because I've seen that quite frankly. That's what seems to happen with the Notes Modem person, right? She, for some reason, I don't know exactly what it was that she spoke out against. It's probably something to do with hypocrisy, because again, a lot of these, I think, on that side, virtue signal a lot. I think a lot of them talk about how they're pro LGBTQ plus and they're pro trans and they're pro gay and pro all these different things. But when it comes down to it, it doesn't really seem that to be the case. It seems to be more of a vehicle for them rather than an actual belief. And they think they use it to their advantage. When you cultivate that type of audience, I think it, like for Jimmy's, thing, it led into him having this type of predatory behavior that people are speaking out against on the Reddits. So. All right, we got Dallas back yet. Yeah. 1 sec, Dallas. Leo, go ahead and.
So, and I don't know, maybe you already know this, Steve, but you said that you were still a little bit confused as to what went on.
Dallas,
as far as I know, what happened is Autumn essentially called out Matt for how aggressive he is with callers, that she did not like his approach. She thought it was just way too aggressive and you couldn't have a conversation, and then called out Jimmy because it appears that Jimmy uses his platform to gain sexual access to his followers. And they didn't like that she called both of them out. And so she left. I don't know if they kicked her out of the ACA or if she left, but one of the two happened. And they've been scrubbing videos from the channel, The Line, that have her in it.
And that makes sense. That seems to be what I have heard as well to some degree. I know they scrubbed her videos. I didn't really know about the way that he was treating callers. I heard that from other people. Some people had to say, hey, Steve, why don't you watch this video? Look at the video what he had with Seth Andrews. Look at, some of the other videos. That was his shtick, though. I mean, he has a show called The Hangout. He is very aggressive with his callers. It is all about his ego. If you dare show he's wrong on anything, he will vilify you. He has tried to slander me. Well, I shouldn't say the word slander. That's a technical legal term. But he has tried to vilify me and say that I know what I'm talking about and that I'm a bitch and I'm a language, bitch of language or whatever. I'm smug. It's like, no, I'm not smug. I'm right. There's a difference, okay? And when you're right, it's not a matter of even arrogance. It's a matter of, hey, Matt, 1 + 1 = 2, and he's sitting there going, no, it's 3. No, you're wrong. Stop it. I mean, you don't have to be smug.
You want to know what I've noticed about, because I used to watch the ACA right during the time when I was becoming an atheist. I mean, even slightly before, just to, not so I'm not living in an echo chamber. 2014, 2015, 2016 was really when I stopped. But I've noticed since about 2019 to now, but potentially even before this, probably before this, it's become, I think that you have a point, Steve, that earlier on there was more of a desire to actually have some form of dialogue and actually engage with these people. But now it's almost like having a discussion with your commonplace conservative in America. They're not interested in any way, shape, or form in a discussion. They're not interested in contending with arguments or ideas. They're interested in dunking on you.
Yeah,
that's all they care about is getting the dunk. That's it.
It is about show and not about the subject matter. And I've seen this so many times. I mean, especially with Jimmy Snow, it's all about his freaking ego and image. Yeah. And that's why I think he gets along
own the libs with conservatives, own the religitards with atheists. That's all they care about. It's just owning the religitards.
Yep. Yeah, and as far as the predatory behavior, I didn't really know much about that until recently. I started watching Cheshire shows. She did some great shows on that. She has some guests on, And there's something to be said there. I can't say firsthand. He's never Jimmy Snow never was predatory with me when it came to that. He's obviously, I'm not his type, I guess. But I knew he was dishonest, right? And so maybe there's a correlation to be had there. But seems to be a lot of people talking about how he cultivated an audience of people that are very emotionally led, I guess you can say, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but just emotional people. And he would basically just try to hit on anything, and then they project it on other people, right? I mean, it's like, come on. But that's a different stream, I guess, with Jimmy.
Well, it actually seems to be an inherent issue with the ACA.
Like systemic
looking
issue?
From the out, yeah, systemic, because this is not the first time that we've heard these kinds of accusations come out about people involved with them.
No, it's not. And matter of fact, look, go read my blogs. I have an open letter to Matt that he's wrong on some things. I have an open letter to Jimmy that he was wrong. A couple super chats. Got a scum of £5. Jimmy, quote, the 2 articles in the Guardian Snow. That's a reference to Heretical's AKA Atheist Pastor's recent video, in case anyone's wondering. Yes, please watch that. And let me make it very clear that there's a lot of people in the atheist community that I do support. I mean, there are some really good people in the atheist community, and people know that Atheist Pastor is one of the best. He is one of the best people in the atheist community. And if they're all like that, I think they would have done a lot better. And I don't mean as far as like success. The ACA and the Atheist Experience has to have a lot of success, and maybe they have converted a lot of people out of theology or theism. Sure. But as far as success and being honorable about it and how they go about doing it, I don't think they've managed it. I think they've failed in that regard, because the ACA to me is not a reputable, not an ethical group. Going to Unicorn $2. New Zealand says, exactly, Leo. Well said. She thinks you did a great job on that, Leo. So,
Thank you.
So Dallas, does that kind of like fit in with some of the things you may have been hearing, as far as bad attitudes and bad arguments and things of that nature, what they're doing? Are you there?
We can't hear him. He's
Muted.
muted.
I didn't do it. It's not on my end. That's a Dallas thing.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, I told
Okay,
you.
there you are, man.
Yeah.
No,
It definitely fits in, but all this ACA stuff is far deeper than I was even aware of. I mean, that's what I'm looking into now, but even in my video, like, I had no clue about some of this stuff that just recently came out. But I think it adds to it for sure.
Yeah, and it's a shame too, because if people would have recognized these behaviors early on, I think a lot of these things would have been alleviated. And
absolutely.
You can only sound the warning bell so much, right? You can only say, look, here's the evidence. You claim to be skeptics, people. Here's your evidence. Here's the arguments. Here's logic. Here's reason. And then people go, oh, nope, not evidence. Nope, that's not a logical argument. It's literally logic. They'll do anything if they have to say something's wrong, just protect their egos and their image. If somebody shows me that my logic is wrong, you know what I do? I say thank you. I fix it, right? I mean, I have people proofread the paper that I'm writing. People have read it. Some of them have found some errors. Now, were they like significant errors? No, they were basically I just have the wrong symbol or something of that nature. But they understood the argument and the logic well enough to say, I think you meant this, and then we fix it, right? But you go to Matt and you say, hey Matt, you've said this. Here's evidence that you're wrong. He doesn't contradict that evidence. He doesn't say that, well, here's my evidence. He just says, oh, you're an idiot. You're stupid, and he hangs up on you. And he seems to have that approach a lot on all the different shows. So that seems to be in concordance with what I've heard about what happened with Autumn, if she was calling him out for saying, hey, you're just too aggressive with these people. The shows have now turned all about you rather than having a dialogue. Then yeah, props to her. But she's going to get vilified for it.
That's the fastest way to commit quote unquote career suicide with the ACA.
Yes, it happened to me. And by the way, I mean, I had no problems with the ACA early on. None. I mean, I had how many times I have Arn on my show. I have really nothing negative to say against the guy except he's philosophically illiterate, but I think he's a great guy. He'll never talk to me ever again. Why? Because he's been indoctrinated, and I mean that word very seriously, indoctrinated by the ACA and other people to say Steve's a mean poopy head. Steve's arrogant, Steve's smug, Steve's this and that and that. None of which has ever been, the case. But he will not admit that he's wrong on certain things. So
Well, that's something that I've noticed that is also systemic with the ACA and a lot of the atheist community, is that even when they're pointed out to be wrong, they generally don't want to admit it.
And why is that?
They have a sense of superiority. I've
Superiority,
noticed
ego,
that especially
elitism.
in new atheism. It's almost a sense of elite. Like I see it in, and more specifically, new atheism. That at least in their minds, they have a monopoly on reason and rationality and intellectuality. And
which is quite opposite
from
from
my
reality.
experience, that's not the case.
No, it's not. They don't do reason. I mean, how could somebody, for example, and again, I know a lot of this comes back to Kyle Curtis and the Non Sequitur show as well as it should be, because I think a lot of that drama started some of this stuff. But how can they look at any of that and say that Kyle was ever in the right about anything? You cannot call yourself a skeptic and say that, right? I mean, there's objective facts in the matter to be had. He submitted false evidence to the court. He committed perjury. He committed forgery. Those are not obviously been proven yet, but I mean, even the court recognizes there's substantial issues to be had there. But he was found liable for fraud, fraudulent conversion, unfair and deceptive trade practices, breach of fiduciary duty, and breach of contract. They cannot just move that side, say, hand that away. This was the ACA that was supporting him.
They'll try.
Oh, sure, they'll try.
They will fucking try.
Oh, they backed away. Yeah, they backed away from him now, but I mean, look, too little, too late, kind of thing, right? I mean, Jimmy Snow could have backed away from him a long time ago. Please, right? It's not even so much about watching my channel or my videos or Patreon. It's about getting the information out there. Go if you want to go do something. Read my blogs. And by the way, yes, my blogs have some ads because I was trying them out, but I make about 45 cents maybe a month. I don't think I've ever had higher than 50 cents on my
Why do
blog.
people think you just get like that you can just make oodles of cash off of ad revenue? Maybe like on Instagram with like 1.5 million subscribers, you might make a couple grand a month, which is like decent, that's right on. That's good for you. But like
hardly.
people are not getting rich on YouTube, bro.
It took me about 6 months to buy this monster.
I will say,
okay?
those that are like Vosh, who's not rich, but he's admitted, I have a very, very modest, not modest, very, very good income, but he's got, a Patreon. I think he's got a Patreon, but he's got his website and a bunch of other, like, people who are making good money doing this aren't making it through ad revenue.
My Patreon is my lifeline. Not going to front. My Patreon is my lifeline. And unfortunately, things have been rough. So if you want to really support me, become a Patreon. That means the world to me. My Patreons have instant access to me. I will always respond to them. They know that. I do put posts out there. They get things hopefully within before some other people sometimes. But it took me 6 months to probably pay for this monster by blog. So yeah, but I want the information out there. So go read my blog on Jimmy Snow, the open letter that I wrote to him, and the part 2. Yeah, go ahead.
So Lily just made a comment. Cannot stand Jimmy Snow, and the thing is, I'm not subscribed to him ever since this whole thing came out like a month and a half, whatever ago. But I used to watch him, and I agreed with a lot of what he said, in terms of his politics and everything like that. But I always got this vibe from him, like if I were to really like have a beer with this guy at the bar, I just wouldn't like him, and I never knew what it was. And all of this coming out. And I hate to say this because it makes it seem like there's, magical, mystical powers. But I think sometimes humans can just intuit things. But I think I kind of had this idea that I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Jimmy's an absolutely horrendous, terrible person. But I definitely feel that he has abused the power that he has to gain advantages over people. And
absolutely.
It just, like the way that I felt about him, now that I'm seeing everything come out, I'm just like, yeah, that really makes a lot of sense. It just, it sucks. It's unfortunate that this has come out about him, but hey, you lie in your bed the way you make it.
Yeah, no, I
that's
totally
absolutely
agree with that.
the truth.
Yeah. Hey, did Dallas get back in here?
No, he had to go run an errand with his wife.
Oh, okay. I totally understand. So yeah, no. I was friends with Jimmy at one time too. We used to correspond a lot. I've got Facebook. I was going through some stuff the other day, and I found correspondence that I had with him that I completely forgot about. But it was all, cordial. And I knew this. I didn't have an issue with him before. He could be very pleasant. He could be very accommodating, and you seem like he really, kind of wants to have a friendship. It's all an act. I know that now. I understand that. He doesn't give a shit about friends. It's all about what you can do for him. And I think you're exactly right. He preys on those types of things. And it's a shame because you know, he could have done very well. But because he has all these, you know, internalized issues and manipulation tactics, and he even said, I didn't know this at one time, but he actually had said that he used to be a pickup artist. Now,
I heard that. I think I knew that.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, I thought
does not surprise me one little bit.
Right? It sounds familiar, but I don't remember him actually saying those things specifically. I know he said he was a narcissist.
Yeah.
Right? He did admit
It
that.
sounds vague, yeah.
Yeah. What would you say, Reverend?
That wouldn't surprise me one little bit. The way that he comes across, even in his apology videos, there's definite ability to manipulate, or at least attempt to, if he weren't being so bloody in your face with it.
All right, so let me ask you, why is it that there's such a group of people like that all seem to have so many horrific, unethical, unscrupulous, just lack of integrity? That's the things I've called out for so long, and that's what I get shit on. People come.
You want to know why I think it is? And this is something I've thought about, like, just broadly. When we see people who are in high positions, whether they be positions of power to whatever degree, or positions of influence like Jimmy, not broadly, but obviously not in every instance. There are many instances we can all think of where this isn't the case. But I think broadly, to some extent, we see that a lot of those people, to some degree or another, are kind of just not the greatest people. They've got some serious flaws. The reason I think that is, everybody always says power corrupts people. I don't think that's true. What I think the problem is that the people who are most willing to do what they can to get into positions of power and influence are the kind of people who will engage in those abusive tactics in order to get there. Power attracts
if I may,
a certain type of people, but it doesn't corrupt people.
Mainly.
If
Sociopaths, mainly.
If I may, just to play devil's advocate for a minute here, sometimes it's not that they're the kind of people that are willing to do whatever it takes to get into that place.
Yeah.
But once you get to a certain level, once you get to a place where you're an influencer or a certain level of power, you're living in, and this is me coming out of having been a pastor in the Christian evangelical movement. Anybody who's an influencer or in a position of power, you're living in a glass house. You're much more, your life is an open book to whatever's going on. And if you have these character flaws, they're going to be magnified by your presence.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a micro influencer, it's called, which is basically nobody on YouTube. That's fine. D minus lister. I'm okay with this. But I think you're right.
We've known that for a while,
Absolutely.
Steve. You know, you're fine. You know, you're the shittiest cult leader in the world.
I've been trying to get people to replace me. I don't want the job any longer.
I
Sucks.
said that I'd take the job, but I wasn't even listed. And then we all lost out to Burger King.
The problem is the cult is so super secret. Nobody knows about it. And nobody even knows who's a member, including the members.
That's exactly it.
But I think Leo makes a good point, though.
It's meta secret.
Yeah, I think Leo makes a good point that I think not all, and this is, I don't want to make generalized statements, not all, but some of them do have to, I think, sacrifice their integrity to get what they're at. I mean, especially with a lot of those atheists. I've seen it firsthand. I mean, Nathan Brody had never had integrity to begin with, but he definitely, as a lawyer, has sacrificed some integrity to say the things he says with impunity that he knows is wrong. He knows it's completely wrong. It's a trollish behavior. But that whole ACA community that rallies around these people to protect them at all costs, and then if you step out of line, they kick you off the show. And by the way, Nos Moanum is not the first person that's happened to.
How long ago was it that either Eric and Vi left or were kicked off? I don't.
Left.
Maybe it was mutual.
We're gonna go with left. You can't see it here, but look at the outside.
Yeah.
I'm doing scare quotes. Left. Yeah.
So I mean,
and I'm a fan
happened.
of Eric. I happen to like Eric. Eric I consider to be a personal friend. Never had
had
words with Eric. I think he's genuine.
Cool guy.
He's a cool guy. I think he's genuine. I don't know V is it V or V, right?
V. I really don't know.
I don't know.
I think it is V. Actually, yeah, I think it is V.
I don't know V very well, but he's always been pleasant with me, so I have no issue there whatsoever. And V makes Eric happy, that's all that matters to me. If Eric's happy, then that's good, because I want my friends to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
When you do speak out, they cut you off. I mean, and here's the funniest thing. Look, atheism is not a religion. I have many videos out there how I just explain to people, look, atheism is not a religion. Stop saying it's religion, theist. That's a bad argument. But there could be some religiosity among atheists. Absolutely the case.
Dogmatism,
fanaticism,
is a better word.
evangelicalism. There's a whole bunch of things that are synonymous or related to what you would see from a theist, right? The behaviors. This is what Wade was talking about earlier, DallasWade, about bad attitudes. The behaviors are the same. And he said, look, if I call it out in the Christian community, I'd be a hypocrite not to call it out in the atheist community. And he's absolutely right. And I've done the same thing. I'm equal opportunity when it comes to that. But when you have people that are doing shows regularly for an extended period of time, and they're doing it for free out of the goodness of their heart, supporting that channel and not getting anything out of it, maybe some publicity, that I think to me reminds me of the lay clergy, right? I mean, my co-hosts get paid. Yes, they get paid. Now, Landon is the one that doesn't, but I haven't done DEF CON Science in a while, plus he wouldn't take my money. But my other co-host that I have for shows on a regular basis, like Cheshire and Atheist Pastor, they were paid for their services, okay? Because I felt like, look, if we're going to do a show like Non Sequitur Show, I didn't get paid out of that. But if we're going to do this regularly, which hopefully was the case, which has been with Cheshire, yeah, they need to get some compensation for this. Absolutely. Right? But they never did. From what I understand, none of them get paid. Maybe Matt does. And maybe, some of the bigger ones. But as far as I understand, the ones from the other offshoot shows or the guests that come on, they don't get paid, like Talk Heathens or what's some other ACA shows, sexual secularity or whatever. And I could be wrong on that. This is what I've heard through the rumor mill. I've never asked some of them, except for one person has told me that it was a one time a member, but I don't know. So.
Yeah, anytime that you're getting into these kind of groups and communities, you're going to start running into a lot of the issues that we're discussing today with the ACA. And whether it's the dogmatism, I really like that term to describe it, because they become very dogmatic in their arguments, and it just really fits.
Can you say that again? They become something and they're something?
They're becoming extremely dogmatic in their arguments.
One more time for those in the back.
Dogmatic in their arguments.
But here's the funniest part. But here's think about this.
They all say the same thing on Twitter. Every single one of them.
But think about this, Leo.
The same.
Leo. They're parabrains.
Exact.
They're exactly parabrains, right? They're copies of each other. I can tell you. Look, I even could tell you the 10 things from New Atheism that they all have in common, right? I mean, it's just a parrot. However, think about this. The dogmatism for their arguments isn't about arguments for the non-existence of God. It is arguments of why theists are bad people, or arguments about why Matt Dillahunty is such a great person, or they have nothing related to do with atheism. Their arguments. There are just you have a Sky Daddy kind of argument, which is again bad arguments.
Exactly. And when Steve, when you and I first met many moons ago, I was fresh into atheism, and I was being, and I will use this term, indoctrinated into these arguments. And you tried to stop it. You're like, hey, wait a minute here.
Look at that. Steve's trying to stop people. You heard him there. Steve's a cult leader. Sorry.
Yeah. You tried to stop me from having the bad arguments, is what you were trying to do.
I do try.
Yeah. Sure. And it took me a very long time to get out of that argumentative mindset where I'm just parroting everything that everybody else says. Because that's how, they bring you in. They're like, this is how you want to bring your arguments across. And it's like, but that's not at all what Christians believe.
It's a straw man of some things, I'll give you a perfect example. You watched the video that I had on the review of Jake, the meta-Muslim, the metaphysician, and the rest of those guys, just eviscerate Aaron.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
Oh my
because
God,
Aaron doesn't
that
know anything about
video was
philosophy.
great.
Right, yeah.
Well, can I comment something
Yeah.
about that? Just because it was insane. Like I really did feel bad for Aaron, and the reason why is because when this moment happened. But the reason why is because if he actually understood these things, I think he would have performed exquisitely in that discussion.
Yeah,
But
I mean, Aaron's not a stupid guy. Yes.
So Aaron said, "Oh, this, that, and the other. Something means by definition this." And Sharif Abu Laith said, "So wait, when you say by definition, are you stating that the predicate is analytically contained within the subject?"
Right.
And it was like quiet for 5
Yeah,
seconds
he doesn't
before
because
Aaron repeated the same.
Here's the thing: he doesn't understand the analytical synthetic distinctions. He doesn't understand the way Kant uses it with the predicate and the subject matter. He doesn't understand a priori knowledge versus a posteriori knowledge. Nobody thinks Aaron has any grasp of those things, which is fine, right? He doesn't have to. But he's talking to a group of 4 Muslims who are well versed in philosophy that are just going to annihilate him, right? And when he's making dogmatic statements and he's saying certain things and he's not having a fundamental understanding of the basics of those topics, it's not going to go well for him. And he should be embarrassed by it because he does it repeatedly. He doesn't learn from them. That's the problem.
The fact that he walked away from that discussion probably thinking that he absolutely owned those Muslims is kind of sad, because I was cringing quite a bit during that discussion.
Because you know the topics. You understand what they're asking. And if I thought any of them were being misleading, if I thought any of them were being disingenuous, if I thought any of them were bullshitting, I would call them out on it. I didn't see any obfuscation. I didn't see any manipulation of philosophy. They were just doing straight philosophy on possible world theory and necessary beings. What did they say that was wrong? I didn't really see anything. I mean, do I think there's defeaters to their arguments? Yes, but he didn't get into any of that, right?
No, he didn't.
Intellectual iconoclasm. How you been, man? Hope you're doing well. It's been a while, my friend. For $5 says the ACA is a cult of socio-political and progressive dogma who was trying to force atheism plus. Odd, if you don't hold atheism plus, you're an unpersoned and to coup. You're unpersoned and to coup. Yeah. You're basically, if you didn't agree, remember way back when, with the Atheism Plus came around, and you had Richard Carrier and other people, even David Silverman, were like, look, either you accept this or you're just a bad human being and we're going to ostracize you. Even Richard Carrier said, look, you're with us or against us. If you're not with us, you're against us. It was a complete black and white thing. Then they got shat on. Then they started having things happen to them, and they were like, oh, wait a minute here. Maybe this is not a good approach. Right? And I think that's happened kind of a bit with, Matt Dillahunty a little bit. And people are recognizing, hey, maybe your approach on this, Matt, is not the best way to go. But you dare criticize him. You dare say, Matt, I don't think this is right. Boom! You're out. You're off the door. You're done with the ACA.
Yep.
Oh, it's subject to coup. Okay, thank you. I lost it. He says, and subject to coup. So I think that, what needs to happen is this. People need to start speaking out. And I don't usually do things like that. I usually say, look, say what you gotta say, do what you want to do. But I think when it comes to this type of behavior with the ACA, enough's enough. I think it has gone long standing that these behaviors have caused harm, sometimes even maybe irreparable harm to people. They are, at this point, not, to me, an ethical organization. Matt Dillahunty's not ethical. Jimmy's not ethical. Nate Brody's not ethical. Goddess Engineer is not ethical. Anybody that's associating with those people on those shows, to me, their ethics are in question. And I'm not saying all of them. Some people do those shows that I think are just fine.
Hey, Steve, example, can I ask you a quick question?
Once I make this out there, because I want to make sure people recognize there are a lot of creators that I do respect a lot. I mean, look at like Apologia. I mean, he's like, if you want to learn about atheism and you want to learn, well, I mean, it's about atheism, but you want to learn about these subjects, go watch Apologia's videos. Nice guy, reputable. He's ethical. Yes. Whether I agree with him or not, doesn't matter. I don't really think that I disagree with him much. But minor things, but he does his research. He has ethics. He wants to understand the topics. If more atheists were like that,
and address the arguments.
There you go. Yeah, he has people on address arguments. Again, do I think they're always perfect? No, but who cares? You have the dialogue. He wants to have the dialogue. So why can't more people in the atheist community start being like that? So my thing is this: people that listen to these shows, start thinking for yourself. Stop just parroting what you think is the case, because especially when you come onto my timeline on Twitter and you start running this script, and you don't think I've heard these things before. I mean, Leo, I actually had a guy this is a true thing on my Twitter line just the other day. I said, look, I don't remember atheism have anything to do with moral argumentation. Okay, where's this at?
Neither do I.
Yeah, I mean, moral theory.
As far as I know, it's an answer to one question: does God
Correct.
exist?
But that's
and the
an
answer would be
ontological
no,
question.
or at least probably not.
Yeah, but that deals with
Exactly.
ontology. That has
Yep.
nothing to do with moral theory. I mean, obviously you can get into divine command theory and stuff like that, but atheism itself has no relevancy to moral theory. So I asked him, where do you find this? Do you know what his response was? He just threw out the Atheist Handbook of Atheism. I'm like, oh, like I haven't read that. I know Dillahunty, Oppie, other people in that book. Where in this is that? I mean, he just posted a link to it. I'm like, that's not an argument. In fact, I mean, I know Oppie, so I mean, of course I read this stuff. I think Oppie's one. If you want, here, look, if you guys that are out there that are self-proclaiming atheists want to learn about atheism, go read Oppie. Seriously, I'm not.
Go read
trying
Quentin Smith.
I love,
read-
the,
go
I
read
love
Hume.
both of them. All
to.
three.
He was good. Yeah, I
Keep going. I like it.
What's the other one? Quine? I think.
well, Quine.
I
Yeah,
think I'm
Quine's a
thinking
very
of,
hard
yep.
read. Nagel and
I
Quine are
couldn't
very
get
good
through
difficult.
stuff.
any of it.
Yeah.
I couldn't get through it. That's a little too much for
Quine
me, man.
is much, yeah. And Sosa, Ernest Sosa is very good, but he's more talking about like coherentism and foundationalism.
Sartre, I think, is another one.
Sartre?
I think. Yeah.
But these are difficult reads. Like if you read Quine's thesis, indispensability thesis, I mean, come on. I mean, we're lay people, man. It's like, that's like us trying to understand, like the who was it that did that proved Poinnier's conjecture? That
wasn't that a
Andrew?
Was that a Wasn't that a Russian
No,
guy?
I think he
or
was Italian,
something like
wasn't
that? Wait, am I thinking of one of the Millennium?
he?
Prizes?
He turned it down. He turned down.
Yeah,
the
he
Millennium Prize.
turned down the $1 million.
But yeah, do you think any of us could understand what the hell he was talking about? No.
No,
Yeah,
I don't know enough about analysis.
Clearly, we're not on that level to go, yeah, he's right or wrong. We're like, okay, they said he proved it. We're going to accept it because that's the experts.
Grigory Perelman.
Yeah, Grigory. Yeah, exactly. So we stay in our lane, right? But when there are people out there saying like, well, hey, Steve, you're wrong on this particular proof that I have. Okay, that tells me that you have an understanding of a little bit of basic logic, which is all you need. Where am I wrong, right? But they just parrot out there, oh, well, Steve's wrong. All these people are wrong. Stop doing that. Think for yourself. Go read these things. Go look at Oppie's work, because Oppie has some really good arguments against God. Don't have to accept them.
Oppie
Doesn't
is
matter. But
amazing.
Yeah.
I love Oppie's work.
But he
He's
doesn't
got
have.
some good
But you notice
stuff.
the difference. He doesn't have the ego that Matt Dillahunty has, right? He has the education, he has the knowledge, but I mean, he's obviously well respected in the philosophical community. I mean, if you mention atheist philosophy, the first name probably comes to most people's mind is going to be Oppie. There's others out there like Mackey and Sartre and things of that nature, but I mean, mostly for at least contemporary philosophy, it's going to be Oppie.
It's like I said in the discussion we had with Ahmed, that I believe that was the discussion I said at Steve, that Oppie is probably the world's foremost atheist philosopher at the given instant, especially given the passing of the late, great Quentin Smith.
Yeah. Well, he just died.
I mean, it was just a few months ago. I think
I know.
it wasn't
I saw.
Very. Yeah, I did want to say really quickly that Grigory Yakovlevich Perelman is Russian, and just because I know Steve's audience,
Russian,
there might be some that are interested. Yeah, there might be some interested in this. The Poincare conjecture states every simply connected closed three manifold is homeomorphic to the three sphere.
Yeah, it has to do with topology. And he used Ricci flow to kind of prove it. I thought he was Italian, but okay, I'll go with that. He's Russian. But yeah, so I mean, again, none of us are going to be able to understand those kind of maths, I don't think.
The conjecture seems relatively simple, but proving it obviously is because that's just the way math works.
I mean, look at Riemann
The
hypothesis.
conjecture is simple, but the proof is
Well, and look at Fermat's last theorem.
very rigorous.
Fermat's last theorem. Let's be realistic here. Fermat's last theorem is not a complicated concept. But proving it is proving to be very difficult. Same thing with the Riemann hypothesis.
The moment that you start introducing the alphabet and different Greek symbols into mathematics, you're losing me.
Well, look. How about this though? Like, find me one mathematician doesn't think the Riemann hypothesis is true. They all do, from what I understand. I mean, just why would you not think it's true? But proving it's a very different thing. But anyways, going back to the topic here. So Matt Dillahunty is considered to be like the poster boy for atheism when he doesn't talk about atheism. All he does is tell atheists that they're wrong. And I think a lot of people are noticing that.
That's exactly it. And in the process, he's become, very much like the televangelists.
Well, he used to study for this. He was a preacher. All he did was move it from whatever Baptist thing he came from into atheism. He just went from one type of mindset to another. Now sure.
Oh, well,
he knows the Bible.
Then I've got something on him, because he went from Baptist. Well, I'm sorry, I was Pentecostal, so I got something on him.
Oh, there you go.
Oh man, I feel sorry for you.
No, it was all right.
Heretic.
But see, you can argue against the theists on like the okay. So there's of course objective arguments and there's subjective arguments, right? And we all understand that objective arguments are objective. You tell me that A does not equal A, we're gonna have a problem. That's an objectively stupid statement, right? Let's say that it's not the case. But if you say, hey, look, vanilla's better than chocolate, okay, let's talk about that. It's a subjective thing. Now, there are certain things that are like, if a theist said, hey, the Bible says this, and Matt Dillahunty says, no, the Bible doesn't say this, here's the wording, that's objective, depending on your version.
Yeah, well,
right?
and
the interpretation,
a lot of the arguments,
though, is very subjective.
Okay, I'm going to bring up something here. I'm going to go into the weeds for a second, if I may.
Yes, please.
Okay, a lot of times what ends up happening that I've seen with arguing the Bible is that a lot of atheists who are arguing the Bible don't actually know what their target audience or their opponent believes. Because if you're talking to an evangelical Christian and you're bringing up the Old Testament law, that's not going to matter to them.
Correct.
Because they believe that they're under the new covenant.
Correct. Yep. I
totally you're arguing, oh, you're wearing mixed fabrics. Well, you should be stoned on a Saturday or whatever.
That's Leviticus. Big deal.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But yet they're trying to make it matter. Oh, but Jesus said not one jot or tittle until the law has been fulfilled. The problem with that is that the evangelicals believe that Jesus was the fulfillment of the law. So therefore you have to adjust your arguments, and they're not willing to even meet part way with it. They're like, oh no, this is what it says, so this is what you have to believe.
Well, they're being hyper literal, right? And that's what Wade was pointing out in his video, is that these are bad arguments because they're not willing to understand the contextualization of these things. They're not understanding the argument being presented. They're looking. This is the same problem when the atheists, all the atheists out there that have ever said by definition, you need to stop. It's just at this point, it's pure cringe. Unless you're saying something about mathematics. Don't ever say the words by definition. Go read my blog on by definition. I've even
the thing is?
1 second.
In mathematics
one second. I've even put it in PDF form so people can apprehend it a little bit easier. Because in blog form it's kind of weird because it's kind of it uses math. But go at the very bottom of my blog on the by definition blog that I did. Go to the bottom, download that PDF, and understand the difference between prescriptive and descriptive, because that's, I think, is one of the most fundamental problems that new atheists have, is they don't understand dictionaries do not define words. I know I got laughed at that on the Non Sequitur show, and people made a big stink about it, but people that knew linguistics and they knew philosophy knew that I was right about that. They do not define words. They describe how the words are being used. Now, there are prescriptive uses of words, which I go into a little bit in my blog, but these words and all these different dictionaries do not tell you that a word has to be used like this. It just say this is how the current way, called synchronic usages, the word is being used in society. That's what it means.
The thing is, even when you go into like math or something like that, you don't actually frequently see the phrase by definition. You either see analytically or tautologically.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it very rarely. Like, for example, in one of my examples, I used the zero factorial. By definition, that is 1, right? And there are other ways of going about it, but you can actually say 0 factorial by definition is 1 because they've set it to be 1, because if not, a Taylor series is never going to work properly. And many other things. So that is by definition. Or, or they can say, by definition, a supremum is this, or by definition, the absolute value is this. These things are defined. By definition, a rational number is defined as the ratio of two integers, right?
Yep.
P over Q. Or is it, wait, what is it? For a rational number is defined as P over Q, yeah. So these things have to be defined in a very specific way. So by definition, like for example, if I say by definition the speed of light, there is absolutely like that. The speed of light is defined to be by definition a number now. It used to not be that way. They've changed it, I think, in the last 10 years or so, whatever it was. So there are times to say by definition. Okay, so when people say that atheism by if you ever seen atheist says atheism by definition, you automatically know you're dealing with a parrot. Almost every single time. I don't even know if there's any exception to that.
Yep.
Steve, you're committing heresy there.
Because I'm speaking the truth. Speak truth to power. Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyways, like, where else do you want to go with this? Because again, I was trying to get filled in a little bit what was going on. So
I'm not sure. I mean, there's a lot of different rabbit trails we could go down, but I think that would lose the central theme in doing so.
I think so as well. I mean, this doesn't have to be very long. I think we kind of made our point.
Yeah.
So let me take some questions here. Trolley Dave decided to show up. Hi, Dave. See, Trolley Dave is one of those atheist philosopher guys that I have the utmost respect for. I mean, he could be the next Oppie one of these days. So, he's smart. He's a smart guy. But what do you guys got questions for us? Because again, I just want people to recognize these types of things. I want to know what's going on. And thank you, Leo. I think you kind of solidified and put the trim around this particular hangout, because I didn't really know what was going on. That makes sense to me. It's about Matt's attitude. It is about how he's treating people. It's how he and Jimmy Snow especially are treating people. Both of them blocking people that dare speak out against him, not addressing the issues, and just showing that they are not people that have high moral character. I'm sorry, they do not have high moral character, and I'm sure they'll get shit for that. Look at Steve; he's one to talk. He's an unethical piece of shit that stole the GDC.
That's why I stopped watching.
Whatever.
Matt asked somebody a question, and they go to answer it, and they get 4 words out, and then he interrupts them again. You're not answering my question. Well, I'm trying to know you're not. It's like, dude, can you let this person say something?
Yeah, I think that's what
please?
somebody messaged me about. I guess Seth was trying to reel him back in. I don't know how long the episode was, but even Seth was getting kind of cringe that he was just not letting the theist speak. So
Yeah, and that's something that I've noticed a lot, and it's one of the reasons that I quit watching.
Well, you're watching my stuff now, so that's good.
Well, that's because I'm part of your cult.
Yeah, we don't even know who the members are. We got to write people's names down one of these days, because I can't remember who is and who isn't. It changes daily, I guess.
We got to do a census.
Yeah, apparently I'm being investigated by somebody that investigates cults. I can tell you right now, and you can timestamp this, there is no investigation.
I know.
There's no investigation. That I know for a fact. Yeah. Anyways, though, yeah, what do you guys got for us as far as questions? You don't have to super chat questions, obviously. We're not.
Bearded Heretic has a question. It's not a super chat, but you want me to read it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, look, questions are questions. You don't. As I'm saying, you do not have to do a super chat for a question here. Super chats are just if you wanted to have a message read, and we appreciate it because I survive on this kind of stuff. But no, I want everybody to ask questions. I love questions.
Okay. Bearded Heretic, how do we try and bring the community back together in some way?
Well, I mean, which community? I mean, I don't associate with that side of the fence. I've long since left those people because I just saw these types of behaviors, and I'm not going to be around it. I mean, people they troll and say Steve thinks he's so ethical. You know what? I am ethical. Fuck off. If you can say that I'm not, I need demonstrations of that. I need evidence for that. And everybody who's ever asked for evidence of that, they get this bewildered stares, and they get, oh, you want evidence? Why do you want evidence? It's already out there. Go find it. No, show me. And then what they do show is convoluted. They never get the full story, and they're very convincing. But when you have to threaten people to say, look, you have Steve on your channel, you're going to be ostracized. You go on Steve's channel, you're going to be ostracized. That is no longer about the arguments. That is about a vile, trollish behavior. From the same reasons why we left the people. We don't even have to show these people to be dishonest. They show themselves to be by these types of behaviors.
Absolutely.
Which is exactly what they're doing now to other people. And they're seeing it. People seeing it, and they're going, hey, shit, maybe Steve was right on this shit.
If I may take a stab at answering that just real quick.
And then read more questions from me, because you do a good job at it. You're hired. You're a great minion, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you, glorious leader.
Oh, no, what? No,
okay.
Burger King is now our glorious leader. Did you see that? I'm not even kidding. You guys don't know this. Burger King, the actual Burger King Twitter, right, said something about, thank you, or something. What did they say? Thanks for being us being your glorious leader, or happy to be your glorious leader is what I think they said. Yes, I love Burger King. I love Whoppers.
But
Sponsor us, Burger King.
Okay. Yes, please.
I'm
we
serious.
need
I'm not
sponsors
kidding.
so that I can get a payday.
I'm a big fan of Burger King. Okay, go
Pay
ahead.
me in Whoppers.
It
Just
what
pay
brings
me
back
in
my
Whoppers, and I'll
childhood.
be happy.
I had a bur-
No, I need to lose weight, damn
Side-
it. I'm
sidetrack.
not going to be paid in Whoppers.
I had
Okay.
a Burger King that was right next to my house that I grew up with, and it just brings me back to better, simpler times too. All right, go ahead.
Okay, the loose atheist community has never really been anything more than a loose conglomeration of people. So there's no repairing that. To bring any other community together, you have to eliminate the cliques and the tribalism between the cliques and the cults of personality. And that's not going to happen
Oh,
either.
you are so right. You are exactly right.
You're just going to continue to see more and more fracturing as people dig in to the different little sects that they're part of.
Because it is very loose, right? I mean, you don't have much in common. And by the way, it was glad to be your glorious leader. Thank you, Golden Unicorn. Yeah, but I think that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, what do they have in common? I mean, again, when you start even interjecting all these other things in there, like, trans rights, gay rights, things that we all stand for, but have no relevancy to the type of community that they're going for. Why combine those types of things? It seems odd to me. And by the way, here's my answer to your question.
Politics?
And politics as well, right? I mean,
I think there is a reason for that, if I may quickly, because a lot of atheists would also identify as secular humanists, which I would argue are genuinely quite progressive with their politics,
Sure,
a little bit
would not
more
disagree with you on
open-minded. And I don't think it's like required or necessary, but I don't think there's anything wrong with tying your atheism to politics if one chooses to do that.
But here's the thing: at least go about it honestly, right?
And I agree.
Look, if there was to answer your question, everything that Reverend Ruin said, absolutely agree with. He is spot the frick on, man. But I would add this to it. There needs to be probably a bigger, badder atheist community that steps forward, that does these types of things with more honor, more integrity, and actually runs actual atheist arguments. Not to sit there and say, look,
trying to foster.
I don't lack a belief.
Very much so.
But say, look,
I can
gods
agree
don't
completely.
exist, and let me tell you why they don't exist, but in a polite way, not in a, oh, you have a sky daddy kind of way.
We need to be able to have discourse instead of just trying to shut the other person down,
trying to dunk on somebody, like contend with the arguments that theists present, rather than just crossing your hands, smacking your teeth, and going, "Well, I don't think your arguments aren't convincing to me." What does that do?
I'll even make this offer, Leo. I may even make this offer if somebody wants to take me up on it. If there's a group that starts like that, and I have a feeling it will be from people more along the lines of like Atheist Pastor, more along the lines of Answers and Reason, Joe from and Dave, I think it would be Trolley Dave, and I think it'd be along that kind of mindset, right? So if they do have a new channel or a new show or something along those lines, and they are a group of people that are just, let's talk about the arguments against God, have people call in, if theists call in for that. I'll be happy to join them anytime. Not to because I'm not an atheist, not to say, look, I totally accept this argument, but here is the argument. Let's talk about these. Have a conjecture. I would be happy to be a part of that movement, as long as they maintain their integrity, which of course I know that the people that I just named would, hopefully.
We've got a couple more questions.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Colorado biker Steve McRae, would you consider the ACA cult and Dillahunty as their leader? I can't believe that I got that out without cracking up laughing.
Yeah. Hey, Gary. By the way, I'm not doxing him. I always call him Gary because I actually know him in real life. He has been to my house, actually. Great guy. Would I consider the ACA a cult? No, but I do consider cult-like mentalities, right? The members of the ACA that just parrot things, that just want to, be bottom of the barrel. I mean, the godless engineers of the world. Those are a cult-like mentality, right? But no, the ACA is not a cult. And they banter that word around, very hyperbolistically, right? Is that a word? If not, it is now. But there's a lot of hyperbole there. But you have people that actually think that I am actually a cult leader. That is how far gone they are.
Oh, I know.
To say that they wanted me investigated as a cult leader. what the fuck is wrong with you people? Yeah, I've got some occult stuff in my background, which, by the way, I happen to like occult imagery and iconography. I've said that for how many years? I've even said how many years ago on my peach. What is it? Peach. What are those things called? Peach. Those little folders you had in high school. Come on. Peaches. Yeah, and you know, you have a book in a trash bag, you know, in a brown paper bag. I would have like Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath. You know, I'd have things like this. I was totally in that shit. You know, I'd Runic and Theban, the witch's outfit. Didn't believe in it. You know, well, maybe for a little while I did when I was a theist. You know, because I did join the Mormon Church. But prior to that, it was just, you know, it's just imagery. And I still, even after I joined the Mormon Church, I still kept the imagery. You know, people they hated that because I had a friend tell me, his mom told me that by playing D&D we're going to become satanic, and I was like, oh Jesus, yeah, just stop. And she was Mormon, obviously, great lady, loved her, but it was just like, they really do believe this. I'm like, look, it's just imagery. I don't think God gives a shit about imagery, right?
Agreed.
So, but yeah, there are people out there that actually think that I'm a cult leader. That has got to be one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever heard in my life. And if you believe that, I'm going to tell you straight out, you're an idiot.
Yeah,
you're just a straight out idiot.
It's so out there. I just laugh every time that I hear uninformed go into his rants and shit over it. Intellectual iconoclasm. Do any of these guys have insight into the coup against Jamie? If they aren't under NDA, I'd love to hear what they have to say.
Why would there be?
That's going back in time a bit, and I'm not under any NDAs. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
I don't know the details. I remember Jamie, and look, I never had a bad word with Jamie either. And Jamie used to be the president of the ACA. I think there was obviously some internalized political bullshit. I don't know exactly what it was. And of course, you know, they changed their structure so many times. I mean, their boards, and they have some really radical board members. And it is run like a political organization. It's run like a church. It really is. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. The ACAs ran exactly like a church.
Yes, they are.
But I mean, that's their.
Well, you got to remember that a church is run like a corporation.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Yeah.
I've got one more question here.
Mm-hmm.
Amir Ashafra. Where do you see the ACA if it doesn't change course on its conduct and rhetoric?
It's just going to fracture more and more. But do I think they're going to like go away? No. Do I think they're always going to succeed? Probably. I mean, they have look, when you cultivate a group of idiots as your fan base, you know, you're always going to have a group of idiots around. But you're also going to have people going, wait a minute here, this is not what we signed up for. This is not what we want to even talk about. And I think that's happening now. It's happened multiple times. They've had schisms. I don't know if it's affected their numbers. I don't really care. But I have noticed that a lot more people nowadays than it was, you know, years ago, saying the same things that we're saying now. Look, people have followed me for years. Not one of you motherfuckers have heard people talk like this before me. I mean, who was? Very few. I mean, Ozzy. There's a couple people, but for the most part, nobody was speaking out against them. When I first decided to, because I was like, look, this is not true. They're putting out misinformation, and I got shat on from hundreds of people and many of them I thought at the time were my friends. I was ostracized. I was labeled a heretic, and now they're doing the exact same thing. And worse than that, they trolled me for 5 years because of it. They made videos manipulating the video, making it sound like I was arguing something that I wasn't. You know, hashtag Captain Clippy, Nate the dishonest lawyer. I mean,
I love that name.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who knows my channel knows I've never argued that rocks were atheist or agnostic. I laughed about that. I thought that was ridiculous. I have blogs saying how stupid that is.
The same way that rocks are bald.
Yeah, so why would you make a video saying that I believe that? It's not. You know, obviously it was just an internal critique going by, if you believe this is what happens. But they've been doing that for years. And now, look what happens, though, Leo and Reverend and Brandon, if you're still in here. Look what happens. Notes Autumn stepped out in line and said, look, you know, I don't like the way you're doing this. I don't like what Jimmy's, you know, being this predatory behavior. And they circled around wagons and ostracize her. The next step they're going to do would be to try to defame her, to try to say all these negative things about her, right?
Yeah, it's going to be the same pattern of behavior that they always follow.
But yeah, I love that Captain Clippy. You guys aren't following me on Twitter. You're missing out because that image is on Twitter and it's brilliant.
We've got Bearded Heretic with a new question. Do you guys think there is intellectual gatekeeping in the atheist community? Hell yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Without a doubt. I mean,
Lord, I see it so much on. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So bad. Atheists try to gatekeep intellectualism.
Yes.
In exactly the same way that theists, particularly Christians and maybe like some Muslims, but primarily Christians, try to gatekeep morality.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I love this. Steve is a cult leader. He's an asshole. There's a difference though, dude. There's no way Steve's a cult leader. They tend to be charismatic and good looking. I have great hair, I think. But okay, I can agree with that. And of course, Vane Veen, who's been around a very long time, says, as always, G-Man wins. Yeah, in fact, there you go. G-Man. Somebody needs to start an atheist community with G-Man, because back in the day, G-Man was the greatest advocate for atheism, bar none.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'd love to try and take him on someday.
You had to listen to G-Man and go, yeah, that's all bullshit. God doesn't exist. I mean, come on.
G-Man's still doing his shtick too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he literally was the poster boy for like, hey, you want to promote atheism? Have G-Man on your show running some stupid arguments. God. Oh.
Buckalicious, do I know anyone in this chat?
I don't know.
Do you?
We don't know these
we got Leophilus. We got Steve McRae. Well, whatever.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was thinking like
Leophilus, Steve McRae,
yes.
Mighty Mouse, and Reverend Ruin.
Yes. So those are the names that are in here right now talking to us. You're welcome to call in. I've got the link to join. I'm not showing because, of course, when I put the link out, I don't want somebody to come in and do some bad stuff. I can kick everybody out.
I've got the phone number showing and stuff.
We had DallasWade in here before, but I'm sure that the people from the ACAs listen to this kind of stuff. I think a lot of them do agree more than they put out, and again, that's my subjective opinion. Don't ask me to prove that. Just my I don't know if you guys watched a show that I did recently. I pointed out what I kind of have like 4 different levels of things for opinions. I have opinions that are unjustified, right? They're just absolutely visceral. I have opinions that are justified, which can have some kind of intuition that Leo was talking about, but it's more, hey, you have some kind of reasoning at least to why you have that opinion. Then I have weak opinions, which, hey, you really have really good reasons, but maybe you may not be able to show somebody what those reasons are, right? But you weighed everything. You have some rationalization, not rationalization, some reasoning for your opinion. And then there's strong opinions that I think are based upon fact, right? It is my strong opinion that A equals A, right? Because it's based upon fact. It's a certitude. I have a certitude for it. I don't know how I could be wrong about that, right? I'm certain as I can be. So I think those are my personal 4 different levels that I put them into, too.
Yeah, and I actually don't find any issue with your 4 different levels. I mean, I can agree with that.
It's when somebody has like a level 2, like I have an opinion that's it's not just a guess. It is based upon just some kind of at least basic reasoning, but they promote that as fact. That's gossip mongering. Is what that is. It's fine to have conjecture and hypothesize and say, look, maybe it's like this. That's fine. People do this all the time, right? I think though, if you put out something and say, yeah, it could be like this, but you have no reasons for it, that's just dishonest, right?
Absolutely.
And I see that happening a lot with the various communities out there that I don't want to have anything to do with. So
there's only one community that I'm active in anymore, and that's more yours. Because like I
appreciate that. And we have a community. The Great Debate community is still a community, people. I mean, I don't do much for
and
it,
it's I have great memories of when I was first coming in, and you guys welcomed me. So it's like, and now you guys have welcomed me back, and it's like awesome. I love it. It's cool. And I still think that there's sometimes that you can be an asshole just like I can be an asshole, but that's because we're humans.
And I just don't suffer fools well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't. And this is what I see with a lot of the atheist communities.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, they just tend to be fools.
AT2 has a question.
Yes.
Who's better for atheism/agnosticism, G-Man or Darth Dawkins?
G-Man.
G-Man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with G-Man. Darth is just. I mean, first of all, you have to kind of understand presuppositionalism to understand why he's, just so wrong on certain things, at least to some degree. G-Man, you don't have to know shit. You don't have to know anything to go, like, what? No,
Yep.
This is wrong.
Oh, Steve, I actually got reminded of something.
Yeah.
Where's my fucking wrench?
Oh, yeah, well, talking the, I'll give you a wrench. I'm trying to keep down on the wrenches because people just see a blue, this blue thing and, just see a blue, but it's like, whatever. I don't really care. Now on the other channel, I give away wenches. I used to give away this is where my speech impediment comes
Give
in.
away wenches.
Dude, I'm telling you, my arms.
Hey Steve, can I get a wench? How many wenches you got back there?
You guys just saw a perfect
He
example
used
of
the
why I
quote
took
for that.
speech therapy for so many years that I did, because I have a hard time saying words like wrench. There you go. Rabbit. But yeah, I gave wrenches. I have to stop and actually think about this. I have to wrenches way like candy, because I was basically anybody who I just accepted as being anyone who wanted to come into the hangout, right? If they had a wrench, because back in the day, if you don't remember, on the J2H community, I had people run that channel where they could just have their own streams and promote their own channels and run their own arguments, and so I have managers of that. And so I said, look, if they have a wrench, you can invite them in. If not, then don't. That's how I ran it.
The only reason I like having a wrench is to share links, but I don't really share links on this channel that much, so I don't.
Yeah,
really
and this
need
is
one.
actually a spanner wrench. Yeah, it's a type of spanner wrench.
Okay, this is actually, it's not a question, but it's, in quotes, and Bearded Heretic, who I'm actually liking their thoughtful questions.
Mm-hmm.
Can atheists and theists coexist? Absolutely.
Yes, they do now.
Yeah, and
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, there's something called friendly atheism. And friendly atheism is basically the position where you're not going after theism in itself. You're not an anti-theist. And I'm sorry, Randolph Richardson, who's a complete idiot. Anti-theism is not the belief that God does not exist. It's an axiological standing. It's not an ontological one.
Not ontological.
Yeah, and so anti-theism is understood as the position that religion and or the belief of God causes harm. It lowers the overall value to society. He's just an absolute inept idiot. But for friendly atheism, they say, look, maybe they're not exactly pro-theist, but they're not advocating the abolishment of religion, right? They accept that religion can coexist with people, but they still argue against it, obviously, right? So yeah, I think the theists and atheists can definitely coexist, and I think the best shows are when you have a theist and an atheist on talking about things from their perspectives. Like, Agree to Argue, at least we had a theist and agnostic, and I thought we had a very different perspectives from which we came from these things.
Absolutely. And some of my best friends to this day are theists.
I get along with a lot of
We
theists.
have wonderful, wonderful discussions.
But the theists I get along with are I would say more the upper echelon ones, right?
Mhm.
I mean, there are some bottom barrel theists that are like, especially some very bottom level young Earth-Creationism. They're just human garbage. I mean, okay, think about this. Compare the Matt Powells of the world, who's just so morally reprehensible that I don't even know how they. I think they're a sociopath. Okay, not just a psychopath, a full-on sociopath. But then you have people like Dr. Sarfati, who has a huge attitude issues, right? And whether you think he's honest or not is irrelevant. But at least he's educated. He is one of the higher echelon kind of people. He writes the things that the other people parrot, right? And I happen to get along with him just fine. So, there's different levels of these things. So, yeah, it's fine to coexist with theists. There's a lot of theists that I respect. Sygard I respect. I don't agree with him. I think he has some bad arguments sometimes. But it's certainly not anything personal, and we've always got along. But I think what happens is that people conflate the people that are theists that have honest beliefs that want to have the dialogues with the bottom of the barrel theists are just nutters, because there are some absolute evangelical theist nutters out there. It does not mean that theism is mental illness. It does not mean having the belief is a mental illness. Absolutely not. But we have to recognize the fact that in religion there are some very mentally unwell people, but at the same token, in atheism there's some very mentally unwell people. They do exist in both communities. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very, very, very true. I mean, and I had the misfortune of, when I first came into the atheist community, of getting hooked up with one of the bottom of the barrel clicks, which you and I have discussed in DM.
But you raise your stuff out of it, and don't you feel more confident in your arguments? Don't you feel more confident in your epistemology and your understanding these topics to go, wait a minute here,
I do.
I can really argue these things. But look at Leo. Leo talks about, debates these people all the time. If he was one of those bottom barrel people, they would have shat on him. They would have destroyed him.
Yeah, and I mean I don't go into things for a debate anymore. I go in for a discussion.
Exactly.
That's why
I'm trying to learn something, you know?
Yeah.
This is, I said we're going to be doing debates, and we are. But they're still at the same time a discussion. So I'm still keeping them on the discussion table, even though they could be more four-language debates. That's perfectly fine. If you guys want to have a debate on something, I have people messaging me wanting to debate stuff that I have no idea what the hell they're even talking about. Strange debates. And I'm like one of them wanted to debate something about having something about fast muscle twitch to like work out for aesthetics versus powerlifting. I don't know what the hell it was even about, but I was like, yeah,
weird.
whatever.
Like, what the
but if you want to have a debate with something, do me a favor. After this video's over, go to the comment section. Tell me, whatever you are about you. This is what you want to have a debate on, and who you want to have it with, or I'll find you somebody, and we'll make this happen.
Well, I'll put it out there right now. If you get any Pentecostals that want to debate against an atheist, I'm more than happy to, because
Do I know any Pentecostals?
Well, an ex one now who can still speak in tongues too. It's easy.
Well, I think Atheist Pastor was ex-Pentecostal, wasn't he?
I
believe
don't
so.
know. Thanks to your appearance on Hereticals, I'm slowly getting into Atheist Pastor stuff now.
Great stuff, Hereticals. Go check out Hereticals. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's
I like all those
very.
guys. But you notice something? All those people on there, I don't have beef with any of them. As a matter of fact, I think
Exactly.
Look at Jay. Jay's amazing. Of course, he thinks he's more of a Buddhist or whatever. But you got little Jen's little corner. You've got a whole bunch of people that go to the
polymathic, I think, is what she is now.
Yeah, Pentecostal versus Jehovah's Witness. That would be something.
Ooh, I could have fun with that one.
Yeah, but it's like the Pentecostals that when I grew up I couldn't stand, and the Baptists. I never thought speaking in tongues was a thing. I thought that was always bullshit all my life. I never thought that a lot of people what they were saying as far as like you had to be slain by the Holy Ghost. I mean, when you look at like Benny Hinn and these types of fraudsters, I've spoken out with that long
Creflo
time
Dollar.
on YouTube.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
I love that video.
The bodies hit the floor.
But you know what? You don't have to be an atheist to speak out against fraud. That stuff was bullshit. It has nothing to do with God existing or not. If God existed, he was looking down going, hey, you motherfuckers are crazy, man.
Prosperity gospel. Gotta love it.
Oh,
you have one video they're doing
don't get me started.
No, dude, they're having an exorcism, and in the middle of the exorcism, the guy's like, and he gets a phone call. Yeah, yep, no, I'm busy right now. Okay, thank you.
No, babe, I'm in the middle of an exorcism. Yeah, we're trying to get the demon out.
I have witnessed exorcisms. They are, oh my God,
funny.
This
Tragic.
body's mine.
Tragic, because
Steve,
it's when you're actually witnessing one, you're realizing, okay, these guys are either a bunch of play actors or they're trying to exercise out a mental illness.
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with that.
But Steve, I was going to ask you. You should get a debate set up between me and Rick Delano.
Oh,
because I debated Robert Sungenis, and that was
Sungenis I hooked
less than pleasant. But
yeah,
it was a good debate. But
I'll debate any evangelical Christian, and I'll give you a bonus if you can get me G-Man.
Okay. But hey, wait a minute though, Paul. I thought it was because Rick Delano had messaged me saying that he and his what I don't know who the hell he is, his promoter or I guess. Wanting me to do another debate with him, either with me or with somebody else. I thought I was turning over Rick Delano to you, but I mean, if it was Rick, it was Sungenis, that's fine too.
He couldn't. Rick couldn't do it that day.
Oh,
but the guy had recommended Sungenis, and Sungenis said he could do it. Gotcha. But yeah, me and Rick Delano were supposed to debate. Does quantum mechanics point to a creator? Mm-hmm. And I would be very, very, very much interested in debating that particular subject.
Okay, so you want
particularly
to
Rick
part
Delano
with Rick Delano rather than Sungenis.
Yeah,
I can make that happen,
definitely.
probably.
Sweet.
I get along with Rick Delano and Robert Segenis, even though they know I disagree with them 1,000%.
Yeah,
I mean,
Robert
but this is what I'm
Segenis is
saying.
like me.
Why alienate the people that want to have the arguments? Here's my thing: they could be dishonest. They could be shitty argumentations. That does not to me mean as much as somebody who makes things personal. If you're a shitlord and you're dishonest and you have bad arguments, I'm never gonna have a conversation with you. I'm never gonna have you on my channel. But I don't see them doing that kind of stuff, right? So it's the ones that are dishonest and troll people and are, that actually want to harm people. I think character-wise, they're defamation. Those are the people. Why bother with? I want to have conversations with people I disagree with. I disagree with Sir Fadi, but I would definitely have a conversation with him on many of these things, right? But he's never come after me personally, and I mean never. And he's never agreed with me on a lot of stuff, and I've known him like 6 years, but. He doesn't go, Steve's a this and a that, and that. He's never done that. Once you start going down that line, you're never gonna have anything to do with you on any of my channels or any of my shows or anything like that. Not gonna happen.
Yeah,
because it's
absolutely.
dishonest. It's character assassination. But that's what Matt Dillahunty does. That's exactly what, to kind of full circle. He will vilify people that speak out against him. It's dishonest. Jimmy has kind of done that to some degree. The people that have spoke out against him, he has tried to discredit or just shit on them and block them. And these are supposed to be your fans, right? These are people that in earnest going, hey, we're your fans. We think that this. Look, you don't have to agree with your fans. I will tell you right now, nobody's ever going to tell me what to do with my channel. It's just not going to happen. But if I have somebody, a Patreon, that says, hey, Steve, I think this, and this, I agree or disagree, blah, 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 I at least listen to them. And I will say, look, I totally respect where you're coming from. I'm going to go this route, but I'll give you an example. I had somebody come to me the other day, and they really gave me a good argument for something. And it changed my mind fundamentally on how I was proceeding on something. Right now, I was always heading that direction. Right, I was always going, okay, this is the direction I'm going. When am I actually going to reach the point where I can actually go over that line? Somebody on a one-on-one chat with me, on a hangout, put me over that line, right? And I'm not going to say what it was. It'll come out eventually. I will bookmark this, or table this. This will all make sense eventually. But I do listen to people when they say, "Hey, look, I want to have a conversation with you on this," right? I don't think that they do. Is Matt Dillahunty ever going to say that he fucked up when it came to my argumentations? And for him to say that, look, what Steve was putting out, philosophically speaking, has always been correct. Why are you shitting on him? Will he ever say that? Nope. Not going to happen. Right? So, anyways, we're going to wrap this up. I do want to keep this under the 2-hour mark. Just kind of go through the people that hang out here. Leo, what do you got to say? And it's kind of like close it out here, guys.
If you're subscribed to my channel, keep an eye out because there's going to be some videos coming up within the next couple of days. I have something I've been working on for a while, a response to a video that Michael Jones from Inspiring Philosophy did, where he tries to utilize quantum field theory to support idealism, and it just doesn't work. Yeah. And I'm actually, after this stream ends, I have the script finally completed, and I'm going to be recording the video, and then hopefully tonight and tomorrow and maybe Sunday, it just depends how long it's going to take, I could start the editing process for that and get that out hopefully sometime next week.
I have no problem with Michael at all. But that he was reaching to so far. I mean, he was going out to Pluto to make these things kind of connect. I saw that. All right, Paul, what do you got for us?
Not a lot. Just like and share the stream. Also, Steve, Jake asked me again when you're going to do that review.
Okay. Reverend.
This has been my first official hangout in probably 3 years. Woo! So thanks for having me.
Welcome back to the Coven.
Yep. Yeah, thank you, my friend. Yeah. And look forward to participating more. I'll be launching my own channel on August 21st.
I know there's a lot of people that are launching some channels. There's actually somebody right now that I know is launching a channel that has asked for some assistance. I do have a video on OPS for tutorial, but I've helped a lot of people in their channels, and I will tell you that many of them have shat on me afterwards. I get this. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing that. If anybody wants help with their channel and they want to learn OBS, they want to learn how to use widgets, or I use Streamlabs OBS in addition to OBS. I use both at the same time, believe it or not. One I use as a virtual camera.
Steve, I will take whatever
I
help you can
I would
give.
be glad. An occasional acknowledgement would be nice, but I've had people that had,
I'll
other channels and
freaking
then
link
just,
to your.
Steve
I'll
who?
freaking link to your channel. I don't care, man. It's
But yes, I will offer my assistance. Whatever I can do to help some people start their channels or promote them. I've always been like that. That's the whole thing behind the Great Debate community, was promote other people's channels. People got pissed off that my channel was actually getting noticed and people were listening, and they didn't like that because they weren't doing shit, because they didn't have any content to put out. Now some of them are getting a little more popular because they're diverging and other things, but they still have that history of the shitting on me, and they try to hide that, like Jimmy and Nate the lawyer. They're trying to hide those things of the fuckery that they did years ago, and then they try to say that I'm the bad person. Oh, no. History is not revisable. History is immutable. It does not change. You could spin it all the way you want, but the reality is that these people have done some very duplicitous things. And now it's coming out again with Jimmy that these patterns have repeated themselves, and they're all associated with each other. Well, what does that tell you? So
Yep.
and people go, what about the
Absolutely.
people you associate with? Hey, look, I can tell you right now, if Cheshire, Reds, any of them did some shitty shit, they know I will call them out. But here's the thing. Generally, what we do is we talk things out in privately, right? Understandable. But if for example, like Leo here decided to become a white supremacist, you think I'm going to have anything to do with them?
You trying to make me out to be a Jesus is Lord? I'm not like that.
GIL? Yeah, I know
Oh
him.
my God.
Yeah. But yeah, no, seriously, if people start becoming shitty people, yeah, we're not going to want to associate with those people. It doesn't matter who they are. But you try to cultivate people that you don't think are going to do that. However, it does happen. I've had people in my past I thought were good people. I was wrong. It is what it is. It doesn't mean, but it's such a small minority that happens to. I mean, if you have 100 people in your circle, 200 people in your circle, or Dunbar, I think is what, 500 is the maximum. You're going to have some bad apples. It's just par for the course, right?
Mhm.
Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up, guys. I'm going to leave this hangout, and I'm going to do a kind of a 2-minute recap if you want to listen to the outside.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you guys for joining this, and thank you for calling and becoming part of the hangout. All right. Peace. Okay, so, I'm going to do a little wrap up here. I think these types of things will continue to happen with the ACA, and I think a lot more people are noticing them. And I ask people, look, have them come over, watch my shows about the ACA that I've had, and Matt Dillahunty and Jimmy and Arn and all these things. And I think that a lot of them will come to the conclusion that, if they want to be part of the atheist community, do so with integrity. Do so with an understanding of the topics. Don't go on Twitter and try to talk to me about atheism when you've never even bothered to learn anything about it. Because they become so dishonest. Like I had one person just recently, I said, because they're saying, knowledge and belief are completely different, and belief is just, faith and all this other stuff. It's like, look, we're talking about epistemology. I was like, it's obvious you don't have any education, formal or other, in epistemology. And they said, well, you have a fallacy. You don't have to be educated to talk about something. I'm like, that's not what I said. I didn't say you couldn't talk about it. I said, why would you, basically, why would you want to talk about something that you know nothing about? Because it's obvious you don't know anything about it. And this is the type of behaviors we see repeatedly in the atheist community. So my suggestion, when somebody says, how do you bring that community back together again? Learn how to be honest. Learn how to approach dialogues honestly. Go watch our video on the 5 C's, how you approach these types of discussions, and have better discussions, because that's what we're going to be doing on this channel. That's what we're doing on the Great Debate Community channel. Well, those are going to be a little more free-flowing on the Great Debate Community channel. But yeah, we want to have a dialogues. A lot of people I have been talking to, they have discussions coming on. I'll probably be doing 2, things a week kind of thing. And if people want more, if people want to say, hey, Steve, we want to see you do this, message me directly. You're always going to have, direct dialogue with me, direct communications with me. There's a lot that's going on with other stuff. Obviously, with the Non Sequitur showcase, Kyle's in the wind. He's on the lam. They don't know what's going on with him. We are going to be taking additional measures. There's obviously, the Todd Chrisley case, taking legal action against Katie. There's going to be other litigations against her coming her way, it seems, as well. So we're going to be talking about all kinds of different stuff on this channel. It's going to be still a potpourri of things. So I had one person the other day say, hey, Steve, you're talking about all this other stuff that's not related to philosophy on Twitter, and I'm going to Not follow. 2 people actually do. I'm gonna unfollow you till it's back. I understand that. I really do. But my content has never been just one thing. I dive into science. I'll dive into philosophy. I'll dive into the YouTube sphere. I'll dive into the news and politics. I don't want to be niche. I don't want to be one of those YouTubers that just has one thing that I talk about. I want to be all over the place for a reason. And I understand that a lot of people don't want to watch this, but they want to watch this, and that's fine, right? I get how that works. But that's how I decided to do it. I mean, there's other content creators that have one thing that they'll talk about always. And I understand that as well. You know, they want my Minecraft videos or play game videos and things like that, right? So anyways, we're going to wrap this up. Please follow me on Twitter if you want to keep abreast of these things. Please leave a comment in the video description. That also goes to activity. So if you leave a comment, it helps the algorithm, because I've never been on the algorithm, I don't think. So comment. I'd like my mods to comment as well, what they think. Give me some input on, how you think the channel can get better, or shows you want to see. If you want to have debates, let me know what you want to debate on, because I want to have things of that nature. I still have a childhood friend that's supposed to be coming on. She got a little busy, so that's in the works. I have some other kind of well-known guests that I plan to have on that I've been talking to. So we're gonna have some shows here coming up, I think, because obviously, the non-sequiturs thing has been stalled, unfortunately. But Kyle's going to jail. That is fun fact. He hasn't turned himself in. There's no plans to turn himself in, I don't think, obviously. So, guys, with that, I appreciate all you guys' support. Please think about becoming a member to the channel, or becoming a Patreon. My patrons are my lifeblood. My members are also my lifeblood. And you also get a cool little green thing, and it also shows support. So if you want to become a member of the channel, that the fact that you have a green name shows that you're actively supporting me, and that means a lot to me. It really does, because the people that have sided with me, they've gotten a lot of shit. They've gotten a lot of trolling. They've had a lot of people go into personal things with their lives. There's some really sick motherfuckers out there, to be honest with you. They're doing some very sick motherfucking things right now. Some of you guys know what I'm referring to. And we'll say, yes, it has to do with our producer, our former producer, that these people are just vile, sick fucking people. Enough. So with that, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to think about doing a stream tomorrow. If not, well, Monday. Good night.